Hello, this is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. I am Trudy Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. My co-host, Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, is still recuperating from his injury. Our very special guests today are Jonathan Steele of Beerman Law, and on my other side is April Lowe. She is the daughter of a 71-year-old woman who was detained. How are you today, April and Jonathan?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, April, tell us the little background about your mother's case.
My mother has been detained with ICE DHS since March 14th of this year. She is currently being detained. We are awaiting her deportation.
And you are trying to contact the Filipino consulate because your mother needs medication?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So we've been talking with the Chicago Philippines Consulate for over the past 2 or 3 months, if I'm clear on that recall. And we've been emailing. We had one video visit trying to address my mother's medical needs and her medication.
And what is the reason for the Philippine Consulate to not help as much as they can?
That is what we are trying to determine. They have been reaching out via email to ICE, but there's no sense of urgency that me and my brother have noticed. So we are now going to meet with them, hopefully this week.
But for medical, that is urgent. First of all, let's clarify about your mother's green card and how she was receiving medication before she got detained.
My mother she is married to my stepfather, who is a Marine vet. And so she has military ID, she has insurance through the military, and she also has her green card. And so she was obviously seeing her general practitioner for medication, any medical needs. When she was detained, she continued to get her medication when she was transported to Stewart, Georgia. And then after 31 days there, she was moved and relocated to 2 different places. And since then, she has not been getting her medication.
Was she given a reason why she had to be moved to 2 different facilities?
They wanted to move her to Chicago. That was her final destination. But because it was overrun and too full, they actually opened up a facility in Clarksville, Indiana that was already closed.
You mean former jail?
Uh-huh.
Jonathan, for cases where people need medical care, what could the law help with in that when they're entitled to medical care?
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate set of circumstances. Obviously, the whole ICE crackdown is a sad state of affairs, and certainly if somebody's being detained and deprived of medical care, in a perfect world, that's what our courts are here for. They're here to remedy that situation and make sure nobody's being treated overly harsh in a custodial setting.
So have you tried the courts to help your mother get the medicine that she needs?
Actually, we extended our needs to the Chicago consulate. We did not do this through the courts.
Mm-hmm. And are you considering doing it through the courts in the future?
If necessary, yes.
Would you suggest that they try to do it through the courts? How is the state of affairs now with the courts? Do you think it might help?
My understanding is that the habeas petitions that are being filed by detainees are being granted more often than not, and so there is relief that's being afforded. So I would encourage, reaching out to a lawyer to try to get some relief from the court.
And let's define habeas for our viewers.
In simplest terms, if you are being detained and held against your will, a habeas petition is asking the court to release you from the detention.
When you have you had a chance to visit your mother?
At the facility that she's being detained in, they are still following COVID protocols, so we are only allowed to visit at the location via video or at home online.
What do you mean by at home online? So still by Zoom, by video?
Yes.
Is there right now, Jonathan? Is that still an excuse for not allowing in-person visits due to COVID?
It shouldn't be. I'm not overly surprised to hear that restriction's in place, but I think we're pretty far past the need for that kind of restriction.
Because it seems as if there are the conditions there. There are a lot of people there, and then they are packing the detainees together. If they were concerned about COVID, what are the conditions that your mother talks about? Are people in close quarters with one another?
They're stacked. So when I see my mother on a video visit, there's bunk beds, but they're so close in proximity that there's no space, there's no breathing room, it's cold, there's no heat. Those are the things that she's reported to us. And then buying or having any covers, they have to buy a pillowcase, a pillow sheet, a bed sheet, as if they are prisoners.
And where would they get the money to buy? They don't have an allowance, and then is money allowed into the prisons, the detention center?
Well, yes, they do have commissary, but unfortunately, because some of the families don't know that their family members have been detained, they don't have a way to reach them. They have no way of understanding the processes or navigating the system, and it's meant to fail. So, and then a lot of the migrants don't have money on them.
Do these migrants' families know where they are? Are there many? Does your mother tell you if there are people in there that have not had contact with their families?
Yes, some of them do, some of them don't. We're just fortunate that we have been fortunate enough that when we do visit our mother online, that she introduces us to the people that she's met on her unfortunate journey.
And how is your mother's health right now? How precarious is the situation without her medicine?
It's not good. She has severe kidney issues, obviously kidney disease, thyroid issues, and blood pressure issues. And to date, we actually found out today that they have stopped giving her medicine. So.
And when families have loved ones that need medication, Jonathan, and let's say maybe they're in prison or something that they are not getting what they need, what could the courts do to help?
Order the people that are policing the detention facility to provide the medication. And that's, with all due respect to the people that you're reaching out to from the consulate, emails are probably going to be ignored. It's sort of the nature of the beast. It's a bureaucratic thing. So sometimes shortcutting that, going to the court, you might find a more receptive ear.
Because the courts, their mission is?
They're here for us, depending on whether you're in state court or in federal court, but they are here to grant relief if relief is warranted, and if somebody's being deprived of medication, that relief is warranted.
Okay. And what is the state court versus the federal court in this situation?
Well, the case that she's going to be finding herself subject to is going to be in federal court. That's sort of the nature of ICE enforcement. So that's what she would be walking into.
Okay. And your stepfather, what are his plans? What is he doing now?
He's helping circumvent everything as far as what mom needs on a personal information level, because obviously I'm actually from Kentucky. My mother resides in North Carolina, so every personal business they have together is in North Carolina. So whatever we need to navigate and manage, we go through my stepfather. If it has financial concerns, doctor information, any kind of records that we need, we go through him. So that's how he's been helping us.
How difficult is it to get records? Because for in our situation, for for Bill Morton, the president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, he has been in several different facilities, and the records are not being interconnected with each other. And he's not even he's just a regular citizen, and the institutions are not talking with each other. One institution does not even know how he is injured. He's there, but they don't know the nature of the injury. So what about your mother's records?
So in this scenario, we actually had our immigration lawyer, Sarah, she took charge when my stepfather could not get the records. I mean, because he was given the runaround. Well, we can't release this. It's going to take 30 days for this, XYZ. She made a couple different phone calls, and she had it faxed to her office within probably 10, 15 minutes.
Who is Sarah again?
Sarah Owings is our mother's immigration lawyer. So she was outstanding. She was on top of it. There were a couple of instances, obviously, during the court hearing where they attempted to, I think, criticize her or judge her, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm biased, so.
So she was trying to get the records for your mother's medical conditions, or what else? What else was your stepdad trying to get?
Personal information. We applied for a stay of removal. And so all of my family members had to write letters of recommendation. We had to provide our own licenses.
Licenses for what now?
They wanted our demographics. Everything from my mom's side to my stepfather's side. So we had to collect that information just for the stay of removal. We had the letters.
In other words, does that mean like the IDs, like everybody has to prove who they are? Is that? Okay.
Yeah. And then my stepfather had to get the mortgage information, the bank information, any insurances, how many years of taxes they paid up until the detaining. It was like jump rope, hula hoop, everything to get everything together. But we did.
It's not easy to get the information together, so he must have had some help. It would be hard for him to do it on his own.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's up in age too, right? So this is where I was fortunate and praised our lawyer for just stepping in when she knew she needed to, and we told her. I mean, we kept up with her, and she was always accommodating to try to help us. So I mean, obviously we paid her, but still.
So Jonathan, when you try to get records for your clients, how difficult sometimes is if there is that adversarial state of affairs in the department that has to issue the records?
Unfortunately, the same request coming from a non-lawyer sometimes is heard differently than a request from a lawyer. Whether that should be the case or not, of course not, but that is the reality sometimes. Lawyers have subpoena power, so if you're not voluntarily turning over the records, you're going to find a subpoena in your hand at some point.
And a subpoena is, they could be held in contempt if they do not respond?
Yes, a subpoena is basically a commandment to the person that's receiving it to produce documents or to produce oral testimony, and if you ignore it, the court exercises contempt powers.
So I guess is that what your immigration lawyer probably did?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
she just did what she was born to do. So yes.
And when she stepped in, then everything moved a little bit more quickly.
Yes, because there were always deadlines for the things that we had to turn in. Yeah.
And did your attorney ever, Sarah, did she ever mention that some of those records maybe they really didn't actually need, but they wanted to give you more work to do, or did she ever mention that, or she just gathered all the records together?
She actually, what she did was she broke it down to what we had to turn in.
Mm-hmm.
She was very specific because she did not want to do the runaround with them.
Mm-hmm.
She knew exactly what we needed to do, when we needed to have it, how much it was going to cost, down to a T. It was down to a science. And it was just trying to circumvent all of the documents in one pile for her when it was all said and done.
Mm-hmm. In other words, she helped you get around that runaround.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's what oftentimes lawyers are very helpful for.
Yeah, we're a different voice on the other end of the phone. We just happen to have subpoena power, so sometimes we're heard differently.
And you have a lot more experience too.
Normally, lawyers will have a little more experience negotiating. We do that for a living, so we can be a little bit more persuasive, I guess, if we're on the other end of the phone, hopefully.
And when you're talking with state departments and trying to get information, when they know that you're a lawyer, are they more open to negotiating? And because they know that there's no room for funny business.
It's a complicated answer. So if you're going to a government body and you're starting at the bottom, the person you're talking to doesn't really understand the gravity of the situation. Sometimes you got to go another level up or even 2 levels up, and then eventually you'll find the ear of someone that understands, okay, I'm talking to a lawyer, this is serious, we have an obligation to comply.
And then when does it boil down to a FOIA, and when is it just a request for information?
So if you're just requesting information, there's no teeth to that. If I call up, the police department and say I would like, police records, they're going to say that's interesting. We would like, new cars and things like that. But the Freedom of Information Act gives teeth to a request, and if you submit a request properly, there's not normally a basis to deny it. Sometimes there's a basis to redact, but not to deny it.
Okay. And then have you noticed recently in this state of affairs, does the Freedom of Information Act still have as much teeth as it has before?
It does. Depending on what it is you're requesting, as I mentioned, sometimes you end up with a very heavily redacted response, and that's not very helpful. And sometimes a subpoena will get you records that are not redacted, and sometimes that's better. But they are normally complied with.
And then when records are redacted, do you kind of know what has been redacted, but you can't use it in court because it has been redacted?
It's usually like the names and identifying information of victims or witnesses that would be jeopardized by that disclosure. And normally you know who the victim is if you're a lawyer working on a case. But having it very heavily redacted, sometimes you'll see the whole page is redacted. And that's not helpful.
Well, you in divorce law and family law deal with stalking, but this is the other side of the equation. Is trying to help, get the follow the person, but try to help. So how does that work in family law when you're trying to help a person and in not to try to prevent the person from getting stalked, but trying to get help to a person? What are some of the avenues that you go through to get help to a person that is not able to get the help? And in what situations would that happen?
If you're representing a client, depending on what the case is or what the issue is that your client is facing, obviously we have an obligation to, advocate on behalf of the client and advocate for their best interests. Stalking is its own dangerous breed of crime and civil action, and so there's a lot more nowadays with texting and ghost texting and burner phones. There's a lot more stalking that's happening, and we do find ourselves in those cases pretty often.
When you speak with your dad, your stepdad, what are his plans right now to help your mother?
Right now, he's just kind of on standby because me and my brother have taken the lead. So my mother has instructed us on what she needs and when she needs it, and then our stepfather is there to help supply that information or the resource if we need it.
Luckily, it seems as if in your case, even though your mother is in poor health, she still has a sound mind.
She does. She's the strongest woman I've ever known, and that is not cliche. So she has come from a third world country. She obviously met my father, and both of my brothers are, and me, myself, we've been here. I was born in the Philippines, and I have not seen that place since I was 2. So.
And when your stepfather tries to help your mother, what is ICE's reaction?
I mean, it's non-existent. They don't care. They're not worried about that. They're just trying to meet quota.
And then he is a Marine, and then don't they recognize him as her spouse?
I wish they did.
And what did they say?
They don't recognize that. I talked to both of them, my mother and my stepfather, regarding their marriage, because I'm like, hey, you're married to, Danny. And Danny's like, nope, they're not recognizing that. And Mom's like, it doesn't matter. And because my mother was using the same argument. She's like, I've got my green card. That doesn't matter. Well, I'm married to my stepdad. That doesn't matter. I have my paperwork. That doesn't matter.
The licenses there. What constitutes a valid marriage, Jonathan?
Registration, licensing, and a ceremony.
And your mother and your stepdad got all that.
Yes.
Yes. So evidently, if ICE isn't recognizing that, they must be not recognizing a lot of other things too, because that is the most basic foundation for the beginning of a family.
Yes. There's no due process in any facet. It's gone. This is what makes the population, the situation, and the current climate helpless.
You mentioned that your mother in the beginning did not want to go through habeas. What was her rationale for that?
She saw what was going on in the cities, and she said that she wasn't safe here anymore.
Does that mean that she felt that if she were to be released, then she would be detained again?
It would be consistent, yes. They would never leave her alone. My brother even looked at me and said, if Mom ever gets out, we have to hide her.
And have you're in contact with other people in the community?
Yes.
Is that common? Is that very common that they have this belief that they're not safe in the street, even if they were released? But not many of them are released.
No.
If our viewers want to learn more about you, Jonathan, about the information that you could give them, where should they go?
My firm's website, beermanlaw.com, would be a good starting point.
And please spell Beerman, please.
It's 2 E's, 2 N's, BEERMANN, law.com.
And April, if our viewers want to help support you and your mother, and because there are so many people that really want to help, where should they go?
They can follow all social medias for Tangle Migrante, TMM movement. They have been supporting me, my brother, my stepdad, and my half-sister since my mother was detained. They have been helpful in resources. They have been helpful to support us. They treat us like family. So please don't be scared. Reach out to us. And then we are launching another campaign to find Filipino migrants that are in detention.
And could you spell Tango Migrante, please?
TANGOLMIGRANTE movement.
Thank you so much, April
you.
Lowe, and thank you, Jonathan Steele, for joining us on Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. From Bill Morton and me, Trudy Leong, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again next week.